So that was a failure. That was a failed squat right there. Your knees totally came forward. Yeah. Stand back up. Dude, you have knee pain, bro. No. Stick your butt back. Don't let your knees come forward. And there's the difference. Even that little bit is the difference between pain on, pain off.
Do you don't worry about them like going down and banging?
No. No. I'd sit down and I'd take them all the way off tension back straight, and then we rock forward back to on, right? And then I totally rock the body off, and then have them get a little mow, and they come stand up. And that first time an athlete engages that hamstring and keeps the shin back, lights go off for them. That is just like an aha moment. And one of the things that's remarkable about this lack of tibial control, when that tibia goes forward in my squatting, what happens to those joint forces across the meniscus? Instead of having perfect rotation about, now I have compression, and what am I creating? Shear. So that roll, slide, and glide in that really big loaded position, knee shear, and no wonder you have a meniscus tear, right? You set yourself up for that meniscus tear with your crappy squat for years. Your body cried out, your body put up with your crap, and finally was like, all right, I'll tear a little bit. But you rode that thing hard and put it away wet, no knee control. We have to teach people to have that shin vertical, or at least be under control. And what we find is that it's a mechanism for a lot of knee meniscus damage. So, this is perfect. When I have an athlete come in who's had a meniscus repair, and they've been in locked-out, and this is one of our protocols, locked out in extension for 4 to 6 weeks. Why are they locked in extension? They've just stitched that meniscus down. Why are we locked out in extension? Because we don't want to create any motion across that tissue, right? Even perfect motion, unless it's completely unloaded, just to bend my knee to flex it, but your therapist will be working on that. But we try to get people weight bearing straight up and down on a repaired meniscus, lest they go ahead and continue to shear right through that thing. And so you can see that, hey, I know that you have a meniscus problem, and I also notice that you squat like this. We're going to fix that so you never tear your meniscus again, right? Unless you fall over a dog or something like that happens. And it could happen. The point is, getting that tibial control really allows for best rotation about on that meniscus. What happens if I have less meniscus? We see a ton of athletes who 20 years ago had a meniscectomy. They went ahead and just clipped it out. You'll be back in a week, son. You don't need that meniscus. Right? What? Meniscus is like 7 times more slippery than ice on ice. Do you think it's a problem if you take any of it out of your knee? Damn straight. Do people walk around with perfect mechanics? Negative. Right? And so now you've taken capacity out of the system under those bad mechanic rules. Now there are people like, I don't understand. All I had was a meniscectomy, and then literally I got arthritis in my knee. I wore a hole in my joint. And I'm like, well, let me tell you why. Right? You didn't get that shock absorber in there, and you didn't have good mechanics. Tibial control, hamstring control is all about protecting people from ACL injury as well. When people land, it's rare that we see people land and then the knee just comes in. It's just not like, it happens, but that's a butt, hamstring, trunk control issue. But oftentimes we see knee forward and then in, and now we have a real problem. And so when we teach athletes to land and we get them involved with hamstring on and having a bottom position in their squat, we're teaching them to fire and ultimately control that tibia and have a definitive, the buck stops here moment. You'll see a lot of people casually, kind of bounce off the bottom. And you know what? That works. Your knees will take that potentially, right? But it doesn't help me control that bottom position. This is the end of the motion. And what we see is that girls who have ACL injuries, men who have ACL injuries that aren't fluky, usually do not have that tibial control, hamstring control pulling that thing back. And so it's land, knee forward, then twist. And that's why teaching people to land and getting their butt on matters. Toe to heel to hamstring, not land. Does that make sense? That solves that 2 birds with 1 stone thing. So look, we want 10 different squats, but maybe the best way for me to get my athletes squatting, it's to here, and now we're getting deeper, and now I've started to groove that pattern, and then it's off of 2 45-pound plates, and today I'm going to squat off of 1 45-pound plate, working different ranges, grooving that motion, and then getting that thing out of there, getting them in a different squat, getting them overhead squatting, getting them front squatting. But a lot of times mechanisms for injury across meniscus, across ACL is that lack of tibial control, and that's why we harp on it, get that shin back. People lunge and they're all like, what are you doing, bro? Quit that, pull that thing back. And those little details all the time matter. Even when people are stretching, their legs come out or warming up and the knee comes forward. It's shin vertical, have that thing under. And you better have a good reason to tell me why your knee was so far forward. Well, it's to keep my torso upright and my hamstrings were still engaged. Sorted, right? Okay, that's a good reason. You understand what we're trying to accomplish. You understand because you're higher order coaches. Solving that knee problem, does that make sense?